honor of speaking to all of you today, and I just want to thank Mr. Childs and Mr. Winston for asking me to do this. I'd like to welcome everybody here to New London, and thank you so much for coming. I'd like to welcome our state representatives, our Board of Ed members, staff from all of the surrounding school districts, as well as from New London, our panelists, and all of the other amazing leaders that have gathered here today for all of you, and I want to thank all of you for the amazing leadership that you have shown. I'd like to also welcome all of our schools, Benny Dover Jackson and the Arts Pathway from New London, Clark Lane Middle School, Groton Middle School, Kelly Middle School, Ledyard Middle School, Stonington Middle School, and Teachers Memorial. So thank you so much for joining us here today. You all may be sitting there wondering, why are we here today? Well, how did this all come about? What I want you to know is that you were chosen by people in your school that recognized you as leaders. Not tomorrow's leaders, not the future leaders, but the leaders of today. So you should be very proud that you are here with us. Second, I would like to tell you a little bit that you see on the screen right now about how all of this, the Youth Empowerment Council came about. This conference came about through the vision and the desire and the dedication and the hard work of Mr. Paul Winston and Mr. James Childs. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Mr. Winston and Mr. Childs embody leadership. They attended different conferences. They have done different things in youth conferences and speakers, arranged speakers for the youth of around the region and in New London. And they saw this as an opportunity to bring us all together, to have all of you here today so that we can help you continue to lead, so we can grow your leadership. And it wasn't done alone. Through the work and the collaboration of school administration at Benny Dover, Chief Wright, Mr. Allen, the Gard Art Center, Representative Nolan, Scott Beanie of Veolia, and the New London Rotary Club, their vision was able to become a reality. So that is just one example of leadership, is bringing people together, bringing communities together so that we can all learn together and grow together. And what began as a shared idea has now become this initiative to uplift, educate, and inspire our next generation of leaders, but you are not only our next generation of leaders, but our current leaders. You're going to hear a lot today about future leadership, but I want you all to know you are our leaders of today. Every time you choose kindness, every time you help someone in need, every time you stand up for what is right, even when that decision is difficult, you are leading. What you do when nobody is looking, you are leading. When you leave here today and you go back to your schools and out into your communities, remember that your words and your actions matter. Remember that you are the leaders of today, and I am honored that I got to be here today to be a part of this amazing event. So thank you very much, and I look forward to all of the successes that I know you will have now and in the future. I would like to introduce now New London's wonderful police chief, Chief Brian Wright, who is going to introduce our panelists for today.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. That's what I'm talking about. I am so excited to be here today, to be part of this program. Sitting before me are our future change makers, our future leaders, and I'm just so excited. Understand that this is more than just an event. It's an opportunity to empower you, our extraordinary youth, to create, as mentioned earlier, not tomorrow's leaders, but reinforce today's leadership in you. I am so fortunate to be here with some distinguished panelists and also people in attendance. We have the superintendent, we have first selectmen, we have Board of Ed members, we have counselors, we have a state rep, all here because you are our greatest commodity. You are our future. and we're just so excited. So please understand this is about you today. And today we're going to learn a key ingredient of leadership, being able to pivot. Understand everything or instance is an opportunity. We have a couple panelists for some reason couldn't be here or will be here joining us later, but in leadership, you have to be able to pivot, and that's what we're going to do today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce some of our panelists. And I will ask our panelists to please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to try to keep it to 2-3 minutes so we can continue on with this extraordinary program. I'll start with Mr. Roger Bidwell.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to stand up, okay, so you can see me. I met a number of you this morning when I got here earlier, and I want to congratulate you all for being here today. You know, as the chief said, you're our future. You're our future right here, and you're the future leaders of our community here. You know, you're going to be the teachers, the coaches. You're going to lead the way. Don't be afraid to do that, take on that challenge. It does take courage. It's easier to be a sheep than a shepherd, right? But we're looking for shepherds to lead our way. So I encourage you so much, and this is such a great opportunity, and I look so forward to being here to share it with you people. My background is in athletics. Okay, but I always considered athletics coaches were the best teachers out there because coaching is teaching, right? And I bet many of you people are involved in athletics. But that's what motivated me to graduate from high school, to go to college, have 2 college degrees, so I could help people. Okay? That's what made me feel good about myself. And when you do that and you feel good about yourself, that really makes a difference, right? Instead of taking, be a giver. Okay, and that's what I believe in. But athletics has always driven me, okay? It was my dream to be I wanted to be a big league baseball player. I didn't get there, but I knew I'd be involved in coaching and helping people who had those same goals someday. So that's what's driven me my whole life, be able to help people in that way, and also encourage education, character, all the things that make a strong community. Remember, the community is all about the people. It's about us that make us strong. So thank you so much for inviting me today. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for those encouraging words. Next, we have Tiffany Caouette.
Good morning. So a little about me. I've been in education my whole life, which is really ironic because I didn't love my schooling experience. And I'll talk a little bit about that later and how I went into leadership because I didn't love high school. I think middle school was marginally okay. And so the fact that I went on to be a teacher kind of amazed myself. I was a teacher, I was a literacy coach, I was an assistant principal at the high school level. 2012, I was assistant principal of the year for Connecticut, which was a real honor. And through that, I have met so many amazing, amazing educators and leaders. When the pandemic came around in 2020, I was tired. I stayed as a principal of an elementary school for another year after that, and then people were so angry at educators. Parents were angry, communities angry. Around 2022, it just became a lot. And I thought, I want to go support other principals and assistant principals who are dealing with the constant pushback in education. And so I now work for CAS, which is the Connecticut Association of Schools. How many of you are athletes? How many of you are going to play a sport in high school? Awesome. So we are CAS CIAC, so we're also the sports side of high school, we're the governing side of high school sporting events. I don't work in that part. We are, CAS is like the overarching umbrella. High school sports and middle school sports, about half of what we do. And then the other half is student events. So some of you may have gone to our leadership events or our empowerment days, Men of Color workshop, women in leadership events. I work on that side, but I work with the adult learners. So I work with principals and assistant principals. It is the most fulfilling job I have ever had. And it has been something that I think I was meant to do. I just had to find my way there. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Next, we have Miles Davis, or Daniels, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Daniels.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Miles Daniels. I'm from New London, Connecticut. I went through Benny Dover, so I see the Benny Dover students here. I was once there. It was a little while ago, about 1999 was my last year there. I went to college. I was a college athlete. I graduated from Springfield College, where I played football and ran track. After college, I got into education. So I used to be an educator. I taught at Rizzott, I taught in Norwich, I taught in Bloomfield, and I taught at St. Thomas More. Right around COVID, I was still teaching at Rizzott, but I kind of I would see that there was a gap missing of education outside of school hours inside of our community. So what I decided to do was, the best thing I could probably tell y'all today, and one thing that I have done is, you can educate yourself on anything that you want to in this world. So if there's something that you want to get done, the education is out there. It's there to go get it. So while I was teaching, I was like, yo, why don't we have after school, why don't we have education in the evenings? And a lot of times it was funding. Money was the reason, so therefore I educated myself on how to grant write, how to write curriculum, and then ended up finding ways to get funding to kind of get our organization community level up and running. I know some of you guys played with us before, but kind of what I do now is I run sports leagues to interest you guys, to get you guys to come on in, but the real gem of sports is it teaches us how to be successful in life, and the real gem of playing sports is you should really value the education. So with all you guys that have been with me, or if any of you guys that may join us in the future, all of our athletes have to also take part in our financial literacy classes and different programs that we offer. My ultimate goal is, if you ever see me outside of school, I want to try to put you on a college-type schedule, so when you are seniors and you're getting ready to graduate, you're prepared for the next level of success. So today I'm hopeful to share some gems with y'all, and out there for anybody, if you don't have a plan in life and you're not sure how to get to reach your goals, that's kind of what I'm here for in the community. So if I don't get a chance to talk to you today, I don't get a chance to answer your question, make sure you reach out to me outside of here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dwayne Stallings.
Good morning, everyone. Dwayne Stallings. For the past 14 years of my life, I've been a financial advisor with Liberty Bank through Raymond James Financial. For the previous 8 years before this, I did the exact same thing. I was a senior financial advisor with Merrill Lynch. So for the past 22 years, I've been a financial advisor. Before I did this, I was a professional basketball player in Europe. I was born and raised in New London. I graduated from Connecticut College. I also went to university in England. I am married. I have 3 children, 2 middle schoolers. I have an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 14-year-old, hence the exhaustion on my face and voice. But that's about it. I live about a half hour from here at St. Thomas More, where I actually first met Miles a few years back. But I grew up literally 1 block away on Franklin Street. It's nice to see all of you here this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you remember earlier, we talked about leadership and taking advantage of every opportunity to make the best of it. That's what we're going to do right now. We're going to pivot. And one of the things as leaders you'll have to develop, you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, all right? Does everyone understand that? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and be fluid. So I'm going to ask State Representative Nolan to step up on the panel right here. Now I'm going to pivot. Now this is how we take advantage of opportunity, and this is going to be an example how we stay ready so we don't have to get ready. So And also, welcome, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, and yourself, Coach McGee. Have a seat. So I'll start with State Representative Nolan. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see so many youth here as leaders. This is amazing. So my name is Anthony Nolan. I'm the state representative for New London. I travel between New London and Hartford trying to make the laws and the policies to help the state of Connecticut function. I'm a retired police officer. I used to be a police officer in New London for 23 years. I was out in the city council. I was on the Board of Education, and I was a dean of students at Isaac School. And I'm glad to see everyone here. It's very important to have leaders step forward in schools or be recognized, so we're very proud to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, an example of how we pivot and we adapt. We have Coach McGee, the best of the best from the Connecticut Suns.
Hello, everybody. Yes, so I'm the assistant coach for the Connecticut Sun. This is going to be my second season. I've been a professional basketball coach for about 5 years now. I have also coached collegiately. I've coached in grassroots for the elementary schools, particularly with Beijing. So I have been a head coach for a Chinese academy as well. I am conversational in French. I myself also played in college. I'm born and raised from Indianapolis, Indiana. So my career has taken me all over the world, and I am able to connect with many young athletes, many people that are your age and a little older or maybe a little younger, and develop really real connections and relationships and make a difference through those connections. So I'm very excited to be here and share with you.
Thank you. As you can clearly see, we have some expert panelists who bring different perspective, different insight. So we're really fortunate to have this perspective and this opportunity. I'm going to pose some questions to the panelists, and these questions were not just drawn out of the air. They were drawn upon contact with young people and with leadership and things of that nature, so they're directed to help us all gain great insight. And what I like about these events, because I get more than I give. So this is a fine opportunity for all of us, both young and adult, to get some information. So the first question I'm going to throw out is, and Coach McGee, I'll start with you. What experiences most shaped your understanding of leadership and responsibility?
Oh, wow. I think the one part of my life that really shaped responsibility and leadership was when I became a head coach, as I just said, at the Chinese Academy. No one there spoke English. Our chef was Cantonese. And so I was studying French at the time, and there was no connection, right? So on the court, it was hard to give instruction and get the players to do the things that I needed them to do to be great. And so I decided to start learning how to speak Chinese, and I had to teach myself. And so in that way, I was able to connect with my players because I understood their language, and I started to learn about their culture. And I started to change who I was so that I could connect with people that I didn't really know much about. And I was really flexible in that way. And I think leadership, part of being a really good leader is being flexible. Being rigid, often you will find friction, and often you will find that you cannot connect as much. But if you're able to be flexible, if you're able to come from a place of understanding and coming from a place of acceptance, I think you will find that your leadership skills and your ability to connect with others or motivate others or inspire others will be greater. And that was probably the biggest lesson that I received. And I carry those lessons with me today. I've been able to coach in the WNBA. I've also been able to coach in the NBA. And a lot of those lessons that I learned in that small school, in that small space, in the middle of Blue River, Oregon, where there's like nothing, really carried me to this day.
Thank you so very much. Powerful, that's powerful. Next question I'll pose to Mr. Daniels and Tiffany. You mentioned about an experience or specific events that changed the way you thought about leading others in regards to what you do. If you can expand upon that and explain to us, please.
Yeah, I'll take it. So I would say there's not really, I can't say one specific event, but I can say kind of like when I was younger, like having the mentors around me, and they used to be very difficult on me, but like through sports and stuff, like making sure that I'm on time, making sure that I'm respectful. And a lot of times when you're younger inside of that, you don't really understand why they're doing that. But the cool thing is, like, as I started to get older and I started to form relationships with my mentors deeper than them just being my coach, deeper than them just being my teacher, I really started to understand why they were so hard on me, why they did the things that they did to try to prepare me for the future. So I would say just the overall experience of having those people in your life that are difficult on you, like right now you might not realize why they're doing that, but as you start to get older, and if you start to talk to those people outside of their job role, so like your coach might be hard on you, your teacher might be hard on you, but there's a reason and there's something that they're preparing you for, and as the minute that like you get older and you can start to understand why they're that way on you, that really can kind of shape how you do things. So like I always look at myself as like Nolan was a cop when I was growing up, Officer Wright was a mentor inside the schools, Mr. Allen was my principal, and I always kind of looked at it like for the people that push stuff into you, they're putting that into you so you can go do things greater than they ever did, hopefully. That's the whole thing mentors want to do. So that's kind of how I would take that question. It's just, you might, in situations you got, it's going to be hard and stuff of that nature, but understand why they're being hard on you, and then understand that every person that's pushing you is hoping that as you get older, you're going to exceed anything they ever did. So.
Thank you. Just to give a little context to that, he mentioned how we were around when he was in school. We all started our careers at 11 and 12 years old, so we're not that old. So just to give a little context to that, I just want you to understand that. But Tiffany, please, go ahead.
Thank you. So I mentioned that I didn't love high school, and so I went to college as a first person in my family to ever go to college. No direction because nobody in my family could really help me. And back then, which was a long time ago, so I may be older than you guys, the counselors in school didn't really help us a lot to decide what we wanted to be or what we wanted to do with our lives. And so I went to college. I lived in Maine. I grew up in Maine. I came to UConn. I think I switched my major 7 times. And in the end, I was just trying to find enough credits to graduate on time so I didn't have a lot of debt. I graduated with a journalism and sociology degree. But for sociology, I needed 1 more credit to get a dual major, so I could have like another degree, sociology. And I did an internship at an alternative high school in Willimantic, at Wyndham Alternative High School. And like I said, I didn't love my my high school experience. There were high school kids there who were, I had a girl who was, she was 16, she had twins. She was working nights to pay for a babysitter during the day so she could come to school, and just the resiliency was amazing to me. There was another kid who had been kicked out of his house. I think he was probably like 17 or 18. He'd been kicked out of his house and he was sleeping under a bridge and then sleeping in shelters. That experience of seeing the resilience of people who have stuff in their invisible backpacks, and we talk about that a lot. Every single one of you sitting here brings something to the table. You have an experience that nobody else knows you have. And you can rebound from that, and you can be amazing. And when I saw those students, I thought, I think I want to do this. I want to make the experience better than what I went through. And so that changed the whole course, because I went back, I got my master's in education. I started teaching. I really enjoyed being in the classroom. And then I thought I could be an administrator. I could be an assistant principal. I never wanted to be a principal. I could be an assistant principal and help more teachers, help more students. And then once I did that, I thought, ooh, I could be a principal. And I did that. And so it's, as Miles said, it's everything along the way is an experience that creates the person that you are. But it's most important, I think, to never let go of the stuff that's in your invisible backpack, because that's what connects you to other people. That's what makes you look at something through other people's lenses and really understand what they're going through.
Thank you so very much.
Chief,
Mr. Bidwell?
Brian,
Chief, do you mind if I follow
I just
up?
wanted to add one thought to that. One of the things, I coached college baseball at UConn Avery Point for 37 years, and one of the things that motivated me to coach was I had a bad experience with a coach in college, and I said if I ever became a head coach, I'm not going to coach the way he coached me. So I learned from a negative experience. I learned what not to do, and sometimes learning what not to do is valuable as learning what to do. And that ended up making a big difference in how I ended up coaching and running a program.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add to that. Thank you. Just want to quickly speak to the kids about anyone out there who's thinking, am I a leader? Should I be a leader? What do I do that shows I'm a leader? You know, I find that leadership qualities are easily recognizable in moments, right? So if you watch someone lead their team to victory, you can say, oh, that guy or that girl's a leader, or you see a teacher in a classroom leading, those are easily recognizable moments where someone is showing their leadership qualities. But many times, I find that those same qualities are carried not just in moments, they're not just in situations, but throughout someone's entire life. They live those moments. So to Miles' point, I can't think of a single individual moment that said, oh, I'm being a leader, or I want to be a leader. But again, I mentioned I grew up 1 block away from here. I was the oldest of three boys. And ever since I was a kid, I just had this, you know, an innate feeling that I needed to be responsible. I needed to lead by example to my 2 younger brothers, you know. And it's not things that are out in the open all the time. It's just being responsible, being accountable, living life with integrity, being an honest, truthful person, just overall being a good person. Those are all leadership qualities. And I think about starting sports. I played sports as a kid. You know, one of the things that I always knew right away was that I really, really, really hated losing. I hated it. And I've probably brought that into my professional life almost to a fault. But the point is, I hated losing. And what you find when you play team sports like basketball or football is that you can't control everything around you. You know, you can try your hardest and you can do your best, but you can't always control what the other people on your team are doing, your teammates are doing. But what you can do is you can influence them. What you can do is you can inspire them. And it's not always by being loud or speaking. Sometimes it's, and I'm sure everyone's heard this, you know, being the first to practice and being the last one to leave. By working the hard, showing them that you're working harder than everyone else, by diving after every loose ball, by being in the gym, by eating right. When everyone's ready to go out and party, you're going to bed because you know that will give you the best chance of winning that game. That's being a leader. And again, in going into my professional life, I'm a financial advisor. I manage about $500 million of people's money. That carries a huge responsibility. These are people who want to retire one day or put money away to save for their kids to go to college. And they're looking at me to help them achieve those goals. So it's not something that's always, you know, in those moments of leading a team or leading a classroom. It's, you live it. Being a leader or having those leadership qualities you should be living that's in you. Hopefully that makes sense.
It absolutely does, and thank you for that information. Understand what leadership is not always about a title, a rank. There are informal leaders. You don't have to be the class president or the classist or the spokesperson. Leadership just shines through. It's taking advantage of those moments when no one's necessarily watching what you're doing, but you lead by example rather than word, or you stand by conviction. Real quickly, if you can give me a brief responses, and this is something that every leader has to go through. Having to stand up for an instance or situation, something even when others disagreed, how did you handle it? And we'll start with Mr. Stallings and work our way down.
I've got to be honest here and say I've never, ever had an issue standing up for, what I believe in or going against the grain. And I don't know where that comes from, maybe just growing up and, there's certain instances in your community or in your environment. All of you are old enough to know the difference between right and wrong, right? But there's also a difference between saying, I'm going to actually do right instead of wrong. And for me, that's never really been an issue. It's just because there's always been a bigger picture of, and I love the name of Miles' group, it's Level Up. You come into this world and you are where you are, and you have no control over that. For me, I've always wanted to level up. I've always wanted to get to a different place. And so I can't think of a specific situation. I could probably think of a million but you should never, ever, ever second guess yourself. Have conviction in whatever you're doing. But yeah, I've never had that issue, to be quite honest.
Thank you. Coach McGee?
Being a part of the WNBA and the NBA is really cool because we as a group really embrace all types of people, people that look very different, people that come from different walks of life, people that have different experiences, men, women, different genders. We're very inclusive. And so our entities have been really, really big on the political scene of taking a stand and just being united and being together. And I think that's a real blessing and a real special treat for me because I come from an organization that accepts everybody as they are. So everybody in this room, when you walk in the door, we are loving you and embracing you just because of you're a human. And so I am built that way, I'm wired that way, and so I'm honored to be a part of organizations that speak those same values. There's not one person that's better than the other. There's not one person that's, smarter than the other because of how they look or where they came from or how much money they come from. None of that matters because at the end of the day, we are all human, we are all the same. And so we always make sure that our organizations and our teams are standing for and fighting for people. So I can say that there are different political things that maybe weren't aligned with us, and we were able to come together as a group and stay unified and stay together. So I'm very proud of that, and that is what the WNBA and that is what the NBA are about. And so we're always looking to embrace one another, and I definitely encourage everyone to look into that and see what we're a part of. Because we do stand for humans, and we do stand for what is right for protecting everyone.
Thank you, Coach. Very powerful. Coach Daniels?
I think mine would be probably, I'm big on the stock market. When I was younger, my people that I looked up to used to tell me, what you need to learn about the stock market for, you ain't got no money. So you need money to be in the market. And my mindset was always like, if you don't teach me when I don't got money how to manage my finances, when I do get money, I'm gonna blow it. So as I got older, I was a teacher, and I wanted to teach the stock market. And I had some people that were like, well, these kids aren't gonna do that, and I really disagree with it. But one thing that I've learned is if you truly disagree with something and you can't find that thing in this world, you gotta be the change that you wanna see. So I realized I think this is important. I think that these kids need to learn about financial literacy before they actually get money. So what I decided to do was I taught myself the stock market, taught myself how to get grant funding, and then now I'm able to get funds in to then teach you guys stock market though. So I would say that's the one thing that I had to stand against, and the biggest thing is in life, y'all gonna run into a lot of walls. People may not agree with what you're doing. If you truly believe in it, you go do the work to make that change. Be the change in this world that you wish to be. So I'll kind of leave it at that.
Thank you. That's factual. Thank you. Representative Nolan?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Question is, have you ever had to stand up for something even when others disagreed, and how did you handle that? This should be a good one for you.
That happens almost every day for me. In the field that I work in, there's a lot of things we have to do, and not everyone agrees with that. Making laws or policies to change some of the things that happen in Connecticut can be very hard sometimes because you can't please everybody. So you always have people that want to talk about you, and you always have people that say negative things about the things you do. And I think it's important that we realize that we have to treat people decent. We have to treat people the way that you want to be treated. And sometimes you have to be the one to make a decision that not everybody's going to be happy with. And you have to just stand on your moral values, because sometimes that's what it takes to make the right direction, the right decision that you want to have. So you can't always worry about people that always are in the negative, and you have to stand strong in your beliefs. So I would just say, when you come against somebody or some situations, just stand on your morals. It is very important that you let people know that no matter what they say or what they do, these are the decisions you have to make, because it's the most important thing for the majority of the community versus just one. So,
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to give you 3 leadership lessons that I wish somebody had told me when I was in your seats or your age. Or I wish somebody had told me 10 years ago, or I wish somebody had told me 20 years ago or 15 years ago. They apply to everything I've ever done for leadership. And I'm going to attribute it, because I think I know where it came from, but I believe it's from Kirby Smart, who was the University of Georgia football coach. Yep. So 3 things to remember, and it ties in so beautifully to when you have to take a stand and others don't agree with you. First, you will have to make tough decisions that will negatively impact people you care about. As a leader, you need to understand that. Not everyone will agree. Number 2, you will be disliked despite your best attempts to do the best for the most people. So as a leader, you need to know you will be disliked by some people because they won't agree with your decisions. And number 3, you will be misunderstood, and you won't always have a chance to defend yourself. People will take what they think, and they will run with that. But, as the others have said, if you stand on your convictions and you know you are doing what is best for most people, you are right. And you need to believe in your actions and stand by them. And if you make a mistake, or you change your mind, which is okay, you can tell people, I was wrong. And I think that is something that society does not do enough. Politically, people should be changing their minds. People should be having conversations and saying, you know what, I changed my mind on this. It drives me crazy when you see something from, oh, this politician said in 2016 this, and now they're doing this. That's great, that's progress. That's what we want. But you need to believe in yourself and that you're doing the right thing for the most people. If you believe these and you take it to heart, you'll be a successful leader.
Thank you so very much. Mr. Bidwell?
To make it short, I would say handle it with courage and conviction. Okay, when you're dealing with situations like this. And remember, everybody wants the same things in life. They want happiness, they want to have a family, they want their freedoms, they want their liberties. We all want the same things. It's okay to disagree, but can we discuss it, and can we treat each other with dignity and respect? Okay, and if we can do that, we can work these things out. But in 2 words, conviction and courage you have to have. You must believe in your core values. What are they? Figure out what they are and stick with them.
Thank you. Everyone has been so exceptional with this first half. We're going to give you a little break. However, before we initiate this break, 2 things. There's a quote by Thomas Jefferson which said, in matters of fashion, we flow like a river, and in matters of principle, we stand like a rock. So keep that in mind. And my challenge to each and every one of you today is, be that leader when no one's watching. This day and age, you young people are faced with so many different hard decisions and difficult choices to make. Be strong, be a leader, stand on principle. And understand, leadership can be tiresome. It can be stressful. And as with anything in life, it's important that you have a healthy day, or excuse me, a healthy way to deal with stress. We're all in crisis at some point in time, but the key thing is to have a healthy way to deal with it. Whether that be talking to a friend, listening to some music, drawing, working out, writing poetry, whatever works for you. Make sure you have a healthy way of dealing with stress, and if you need help, do not be afraid to ask, because we all need it at some point in time. So we're going to take, how long is the break going to be? 10-minute break. So use the restroom, come back, refresh, rejuvenate, and we're going to kick this great event right back off. Thank you. What's that?
Taking the noise down a little bit. And what I want to do next is I want to introduce Mr. Lou Allen. He is a longtime leader in New London's public education and Norwich. Lou is a trailblazer. I've worked with him for numerous years. He's even yelled at me a couple times. But Mr. Allen used to be not only an administrator and is in Norwich, but now he used to be one in New London. And he became the director of the Science and Technology School in southeastern Connecticut. And under his leadership, we were able to learn and understand true leadership. Lou has been very strong in advocating for equity and inclusivity. He has served the New London Education Foundation also, I believe. Lou represents excellence, dedication, and belief that every student deserves a shot at quality education. He's not just an administrator, he's a mentor, a visionary, and a champion for young folk. Please welcome the change maker, Lou Allen.
Thank you, Anthony. So I just asked of the middle school students, I could see before the break you were getting a little antsy, and just like I was. So we're going to ask you to focus for the next 30 minutes, okay? And we're going to continue with officer rights questions to the panel. But after that, the most important part, well, they're important, don't get me wrong, we're going to have some students from each school come up to the mic and pose some questions to our panel. I think really this is a student initiative, and we want you to take some leadership and some role in this. So we're going to have somebody from each school, don't be bashful, come up and ask the questions of our panel. How's that sound? Good? All right, so let's get this thing going. Just one observation. I don't like to digress, but let me get one observation. When we had the question earlier that how many students here are athletes in the room? How many athletes? And not because, that's great, but reason I bring that up, you realize in southeastern Connecticut, it's a small community, and probably through your interactions and games and competitions with other students, you kind of pull us together. There's probably the kids in this room you're going to see in the basketball court, cheerleading, soccer, basketball, whatever, and so you're not just one entity, you're like a combination of southeastern Connecticut. There's a power in this group. I hope you realize that. And as you go on as an athlete, or in drama or music, you're going to see some of your classmates from Wheeler and Waterford and East Lyme and on and on and on and Groton. You're all going to be together. So remember that. Another reason I want to mention that, as I digress, because when you're going, guys, calm down, is that being the elder statesman in the room, because I am, we'd laugh at Miles. No, I have the luxury, just because I've been around, that Miles is one of my students, Dwayne is one of my students, so I've had a lot of you as students. Mr. Van McKee is one of my students. And so we kind of like, we sat there before this event started, and I asked the question, I said, did you ever think 20, 30 years ago when you were a student at Benny Dover or at your respective high school that you would be up as a panel member? And here they are. So someday, you'll be up here doing the same thing. That makes sense? Thank you. All right. Next question has been submitted now. This one was submitted on behalf of Teachers Memorial Middle School in Norwich. Teachers, give a shout out. Good question. All right. What was the biggest challenge you faced as a young leader, and how did you push through that? So I'd like to maybe ask each panel member just respond to that, how they pushed through that when they were young, and you get 20 seconds, maybe 30. Coach, you want to start, Roger?
Well, great question. What I learned was it wasn't about me. And once I learned it wasn't about me, it was about the student, it was about somebody else. I became a better coach, better teacher, better educator. And I think once we all get around that, it is not about us, and it's about others, you become really good at helping others and become a better teacher, coach, administrator, whatever it may be. Financial advisor, Dwayne, right? It's about whatever it may be, but don't make it about yourself.
I think my biggest obstacle was I didn't fit in. I fit in and I didn't fit in. I fit in high school with all the different groups. I was an athlete. I was a band kid. I was on debate team. I hung out with like the kids who were making really bad decisions, and I kind of floated in and out of different groups. And I think that's one reason why I'm so passionate about what I do now is I want everybody to feel like they belong. It's belonging, because I didn't fully feel that in school. I said I grew up in Maine. If I had gone to the University of Maine where all my friends were going, I wouldn't be where I am now. I know that. I hung out with knuckleheads. I needed to remove myself from that in order to be successful. And so I made a leap coming to UConn. I went to a school where I knew nobody there. I started completely over. And it wasn't really intentionally to redesign myself, or I just knew that if I went to University of Maine and I knew my friends who were going there, that I was just gonna fool around. And that was probably the biggest thing that I did for myself, was separating myself from people who made bad decisions, because I tended to make bad decisions when I was with those people. And so if you're thinking about your friend group right now and they're not elevating you, they're not lifting you, I'm not saying you have to completely break away from them, but they're not the ones to follow. You need to surround yourself with great people who are going to lift you up, who are going to encourage you, and who are going to inspire you in many ways.
Ooh, a big challenge for me is going to be having dyslexia. That's a big challenge for me. People can't see dyslexia, and they don't know you have it unless they know some of the signs when you're either trying to speak in front of people or when you have a difficulty reading. That was a strong challenge for me growing up, even into my older years as an adult. Because I had to learn after high school how to read the right way, and how to comprehend some of the things that, like, I had to pronounce things correctly and better. And even to today, I have a lot of trouble sometimes reading or remembering things. Sometimes I read from stuff a lot. And having people make fun of you or having people talk about you, but my goal was to prove that I can get into positions as someone with dyslexia and be successful. So that has been probably my hardest challenge, to one, speak about it, and then two, to continue to fight through the fear of having the struggle sometimes, and keep pushing forward.
I would say my biggest challenge as a young leader, like when I was around you guys' age, was I always knew like I wanted to go to college, I wanted to be in college sports, but I also had a lot of friends around me that was not their interest. So one thing that was a challenge was like, I know what I wanted to do and I wanted to be accepted by my peers. And one of the hardest things was learning to be real. So like one thing you can say is the people around you, whether they're like, I had people with me that didn't go to college that was doing negative things, but they knew the positive things I wanted to do, so they still supported me on that. So just being young, and you might have something inside of you that's different around everybody else, but the true people around you, like your true friends, even if your friend is doing something negative, they still kind of want the best for you though. So growing up, like Mr. Morgan, we grew up together, we both played college sports. We had people around us that wasn't doing positive stuff. We would always be real, though, and state who we were, and it didn't make us an outcast. They accepted and respected us for who we are. So just, I'd say the biggest challenge is just within your group, if there's something you want to do, be real, be yourself. The true people that really love you and care about you will still be there for you for being real. And if you put in a fake facade to try to be around people, eventually that's going to catch up to you. So just be real, stand in front of adversity, and fight for whatever you believe in.
For me, as a young kid, I grew up in a single-parent household, so it was just me, my mom, and my two sisters. We didn't always have all the resources. There were years that were really good, and there were years that were really, really hard. And You know, I grew up probably, you know, really, really poor. And there were moments where we were all separated. And so we all lived in different places. And I had to stay with my grandmother for most of my childhood as well. And I think the biggest life lesson as a kid, I didn't allow my situation to define me, and I didn't choose that situation. My mom really struggled with mental health and a little bit of drug abuse. And so I decided that I didn't want to choose that life. And so I chose something different, and I didn't have like a parent to say, hey, you got to do these things. I just decided I didn't want that, and I didn't want to be like that, and I didn't want to live like that. So I just did everything the complete opposite of what I saw and what I witnessed. And that's really honestly like how I even got to even sitting in this moment. And so I really encourage you all to like just really embrace, like, people, like your friends can sometimes really be your family. And so I now as an adult like create my own families. Like I travel around the world, and I've got friends and people, my coworkers laugh at me because I have a friend or I know someone in almost every city, but I do that because I always find and create my own family. I create love around me, people that love me for who I am and where I've been, no matter what I dress like or what I've got on. I'm a good person, they're a good person to me, and it's a reciprocal relationship, and it's a friendship, and it's a family. So your family doesn't actually have to be the people that you grew up with. It can be anything that you want. And so I've grown up and created that. So I just hope that you guys can take that with you no matter what your situation or scenario is. You don't have to choose that. You can be whatever honestly you want. Just choose to just not do those things that you know could potentially hurt you or impact you in a negative way. Choose the positive and choose the light and choose the love.
So that's going to be extremely difficult to follow because you literally just said exactly what I would have said, and Miles set that off as well. So, you know, the biggest challenge for me personally growing up was just the environment that I grew up in. And I took an extremely similar approach to what Ashley just described, which was, first of all, in every situation that you go in, try to learn from it. And sometimes the people in your community or in your environment may not be going in the same path that you want to be going into, so that's okay. But what you do learn, I think Mr. Bidwell said it earlier, is that you learn what not to do. And that is just as powerful sometimes as learning what to do. Learning what direction not to go in. So I don't want to belabor the point, but Ashley just said it beautifully. Similar situation, but that was the challenge. And as long as you learn from each situation what not to do, be a good person at the end of the day. And the other thing I would say is have a goal, okay? Because that goal will keep you on track. So my goal was to level up every year, and it still is to this day. It's be better as a person, as a father, as a husband, as a financial advisor, as a friend, as a cousin, just to be a better person every day. And that will kind of be your guideposts. And when you come into those challenging moments, those challenging situations, it'll be much easier to deal with them because you know which direction you're going in.
Good job. This, that question, that was a great question. I think you listened to our panel members. They told you it's real. I think what they spoke about, from dyslexia, from poor families, from making decisions, this is you. Everybody in this room, I think if you were listening today, they probably touched on everybody in this room. Everybody. That's not bad. Everybody. So that was great response, great questions. That's real, people. That's real. That's real. That's real. That was good. Next question. Stonington Middle School. Where's Stonington? Are you here? Stonington Middle School? In the house. Yeah. Aren't you what's Stonington? They're lobsters? That's your claim to fame? Lobsters or something in Stonington? Scallops? Lobsters? All right. Sold. Question, Stonington Middle School. As a leader, how have you made a difference in your community? As a leader, how have you made a difference in your community? We'll start from the far end. Let's mix things up. Mr. Stallings, do you want to start? If you could.
Sure. How have I made a difference in my community? I'm going to sit here and sound like I'm patting myself on the back, and I don't want to do that. But what I would say is this is one of the examples of we're trying to help our community, you know, try to give back to our community. I think everyone up here is in a place that in their lives now where they can sit up here and help you guys. But I think situations like this, situations like, you know, hosting internships for me personally, for young people who want to learn about what I do, giving speeches at places like this. I've done this many times over the past couple months. I've done it up in Hartford, at certain schools in Hartford. I've done it at Latinas in Power Symposium. I'm not Latin, I'm not Hispanic at all, but giving back to the community of people that I grew up with. It's not, you know, New London's a very diverse community. One of the things we all had in common was, for the most part, this isn't everyone, but for the most part, none of us had any money growing up. So we all felt kind of a kinship in that regard, but it wasn't based on race or ethnicity. It was more based on socioeconomic situations. So I think just things like this, always being available, always being around, and to be able to help in any way possible.
Great. Coach?
This is fun, a good question, because I'm currently working on building a website for coaches around the world. I just had a conversation with a coach from Australia that's coaching pretty much, I think, everyone like in this similar age group. But I'm working on building a website where coaches can come and collaborate and talk and share experiences or gain new ideas to help young people be the best versions of themselves on and off the basketball court, and really in all sports, so on and off the field or wherever at home. So I'm actually working with a lot of coaches to continue to provide, you know, leadership and safe spaces for, you know, people of your age and who have your, you know, shared interests. So I'm hoping to continue to work on that website and continue to be a forum or a safe space for people to come together and share like-mindedness.
Great.
I would say biggest difference making is like with Community Level Up, well, all of our programs are free, but that doesn't mean that our programs don't cost money. So I would say the biggest difference I can make is providing an opportunity for people to grow and learn, and also for that to be possible, like for us to be at the Williams School, for us to have our free basketball league, for us to have our free track league, learning the ways to get the grants, to get the funding on in. And then probably the coolest thing is like we've been doing this 5 years now, and we're starting to have students that came through our program that now I'm able to hire and put money in their pocket. And that right there is probably the biggest difference I can feel I'm making, is seeing some of y'all young, helping y'all guide, helping y'all grow, and then as y'all get older, helping put money in your pocket, so then you, as you get older, can come take my job and do way better than I ever did, though. So that's the biggest difference, is providing opportunities for y'all to hopefully do things greater than I ever did.
Making change in our community, I think as a police officer, I brought a lot of change in our community, trying to drop the barriers between police and youth by letting the youth see police officers can be just as friendly and fun to be around, and going into and having some youth programs for youth as a police officer opened the door for a lot of youth to have opportunities. Also, if you haven't been to our community center in New London, that is another way that I was able to help New London get the funding for some of the community center monies. A lot of the programs that Miles talked about, bringing in funding for probably 15 different after-school programs, making sure that they had enough funding to run the program so you would have something to do after school. A lot of the buildings that are being built in our community come from funding from the state of Connecticut that we try and help push out and make sure that we can build the things that we're building to improve our community. And just working together to try and make sure we are all doing things to make the best out of people in our community. That is something that I try to do all the time. So thank you.
I'm up here with people who've done great things, like big things for the community. I'm going to take it away from my job for a minute, and I'm going to talk about me as a person. Because I think there are so many missed opportunities that we have in our community not related to our jobs. So the biggest way that I make an impact is I show up. If I see an opportunity to volunteer, I show up. I speak up, I team up, I meet people that way. I volunteer at the Niantic Bay Community Playhouse whenever they have a show. They need volunteers. I volunteer for an organization where once a month I make a lasagna and I drop it off to somebody in need. I foster dogs. My daughter's 21 now, but when she was in middle school, we drive by an area of our highway or at the end of the ramp that was always filled with garbage. We went out and we picked up garbage. Like one morning, we just spent an hour and picked up garbage. Look for the little ways that you can make a difference. If I see warm gloves on sale for $1, I pick up 10 pair. I keep them in my car. If somebody's standing on the side of the road asking for money, I don't always carry cash on me, but I always have gloves. And if it's cold, I give a pair of gloves. When I shop, I find a couple of things that are on sale and I put them in the box that they have at the checkout for either food pantries or care and share. It's those small things that make a difference in the community, and if every person in our community gave back a little bit like that, we would be so much stronger. So the big things are important, but those macro things are hugely important for community, for compassion, and just for making the world a better place.
Well said, Tiffany, well said. I would put it this way, for 37 years I recruited and gave opportunities to a lot of local high school students that wouldn't have had the chance to go to college. And Coach Childs, who coached basketball for 15 years at our campus at Avery Point, did the same thing. Over there, that great man over there, okay? And I'll give you an example of that. You guys, New London's own Rodney Davis, you might have heard, New London High School. I found Rodney Davis working in Burlington Coat Factory. Nothing against Burlington Coat Factory. He wasn't going to go to college, and I talked to him about going to the UConn and started Avery Point. He took us up on it, went there, and ended up having a 13-year Major League Baseball career, making over $40 million. And he's a leader in this community too, talking about great leaders. So, and Coach Childs did the same thing. So, you know, finding people, giving opportunities they ordinarily wouldn't have, and then have them take advantage of it, that's the most rewarding thing I think you could ever do.
All right, as we start to wrap up the program, next part, we're going to ask students to come up to the mic. We'd like to get one student per school to come up to the mic. It's going to be right down there. Mr. Winston, you'll may adjust it for the height. There's one over there, Mr. Childs. And so we're going to start off with, and the student can ask, we're going to start off with Benny Dover Jackson Middle School. One of our students, come on up to the mic. And we'd like to have that student introduce himself.
My name is Chris Lawson. I go to Benny Dover Jackson Middle School. And my question is for Mr. Nolan. So as a leader, in your experiences, what have you learned?
Question was, is a leader in my experiences, what have I learned?
Right.
What lessons have you learned as a leader?
Ooh. Well, first, being respectful and treating people like I wanted to be treated. That's important. That's been a constant learning tool that I've had to use, because in order for you to do things and accomplish things and to get things, you have to treat people like you want to be treated. So I have to continue to practice on a daily basis, especially with those that don't like some of the things that I'm doing or fighting things that are not well for our community. You just learn to treat people and to be respectful. And one of the big things is not getting entertained by the negativity. I learned how to develop a wiser attitude and not to respond negative when people respond negative, to try and alleviate that problem by calming it down a little bit.
Thank you.
Great job. Also from Benny Dover, the Performing Arts School, we maybe have a student up there from Benny Dover's Performing Arts. Heights. Pressure's on. We need somebody. Come on down. Come on down. Let's go. All right.
Hi, my name is Baba, and my question is for Ms. McGee. So when was one time you felt like you wanted to give up and almost did?
Oh, that's a really good question. When I used to coach college basketball, women's basketball, and I decided that I didn't like it anymore. I decided I didn't find it very fun, and I decided that I wanted to coach professionally. And so I left and I quit, and I decided to try to get into the pros. And I'll never forget, I had some family members that were not very supportive of me. Their opinion is different now. And I felt really by myself, and I felt really defeated, but I knew that I had to believe in myself. I knew that I had to get there because I took the risk, and I just had to have courage. I had to work like 3 jobs. I had to do things for free. Like I had to travel and like not make a lot of money, but it was really, really worth it. And it was really, really difficult. And it was really, really lonely for a long time. But again, if you have those friends around you, that family that like believe in you and support you, you always at the end of the day remember that you're not actually not alone. You might feel that way, but you're actually not alone. And I think I know my friends that I feel like are my family really, really brought me through those hard times. And I have them to thank because they really supported me. And now I've traveled all over the world. I've, like I said, I've coached in the NBA. I've met some of the craziest people like you would just never dream of. And because I had my family and my friends, that's when I didn't give up. They supported me. So finding that community is really, really important so that you never, ever just really give up totally.
Great job. Nice question. Also, good job. Over to our left, what school? Introduce yourself.
I'm Ruby Larea. I'm also from the Performing Arts School. I have a question for Mr. Daniels. How, like you said that you had to search for an education yourself. How did you find the motivation to do that when it was like particularly difficult to?
Great question. The motivation, I would say like every time I would see something that I didn't like when I was younger, that was motivation for me to go try to change that for the next generation. So I'd say every time I saw adversity, whether it's somebody telling me younger, you shouldn't learn the stock market, that made me want to learn and teach you guys so you don't go through the same thing. So I would say like I look at myself, I started to learn about servant leadership, where it's you don't really lead for yourself. You don't give people what they want. You give the people that you lead what they need. So I started seeing the things that when I was younger, like I missed a lot of stuff that I believed that I needed that I didn't get from people around. And as I got older and I was able to educate myself and learn, I now try to give those things back. So I would say just every time something negative came around, rather than paddling, rather than being down, if you see something you don't like, you can go use Google, research, learn. Like with the stock market, how I learned the stock market, I got a job with the military where I had a 10-month contract where I didn't have to do too much. So I knew I wasn't going to be getting paid after 10 months. So every single day I would say, you know what, I'm going to take 10 minutes out of my day and I'm going to learn a little bit about the stock market. I did that for an entire 10 months, had a bunch of knowledge, and then was able to turn that to something. So every time you see something that you don't agree with, you get nothing out of like talking about it or saying stuff. Actions speak louder than words. So just do the work, whatever that thing you don't agree with, and then try to change that in your future, though.
Great question. Next, can we get a representative from Stonington? Stonington. Come on down.
My question is, what? Oh, my name is Chloe, and my question's for Tiffany. What was your biggest inspiration?
That's a great one. I think as a person, like who was my greatest inspiration as a person, so years ago I worked for a principal who gave me autonomy to take risks. I was a teacher and, or I was a literacy coach at the time in that school. She let me run with innovative ideas, but I was held accountable. And that's how I've led others as I've become a principal. I love to see something that is so outside the box in thinking that others don't think of it. I don't always think that way. I surround myself with people who think that way because they inspire me. But she would let me take risks. But then she would call me back and say, how's it going? And I knew that I still had to be accountable. So if you find ways or you find people who let you do things a little bit different, not the way it's always done, but it's good, that's inspiring to me.
Great question.
Thank you.
Next, how about a representative from Kelly Middle School? Kelly Middle School. Come on down.
Hello, I am Tenzin Lobsing from Kelly Middle School. What's the best networking advice you can give to young leaders? To all of them.
I would say never burn a bridge. Like, I would say, like, from people that I was younger, from Nolan next to me, Miss Allen was my principal, Stallings, all you guys, like, if you never burn a bridge, eventually as you're doing something good, like, those people that you create a relationship with, you never know in your future how it's going to come back to help you on out. So now with everybody there, never burn a bridge with anybody. Like, don't burn any bridges. Mend your relationships, because as you get older, you have no clue how those things are going to come back to help you on out.
Great question.
I'll just add to that. Always live like someone's watching. You never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. And always be presentable. You know, be presentable, speak articulately, always be on is basically the mantra there, always be on.
I would say develop your people skills. Number one, learn to look at people, be a good listener, right? Don't talk first, listen first. And those people skills will take you a long ways. Because you have to be able to learn to deal with people first. And if you can do that, everything else will fall in place for you.
Thank you.
I would say be kind. People remember when you're not very nice to them, and that sticks with them. But they also remember when you're really kind to them. And kindness can really, really take you really, really far. So remember that, you know, being kind is really, really important. But then on the end of that, I would also say to reach out and say thank you. Reach out, maybe write them a letter or send them an email. Just say, hey, just wanted to say thank you for whatever it is. I think that little connection and that little piece shows that you care and shows that you are a human and that you recognize them as a human. So kindness, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, what we'll ask the student questions, we'll pose the question and have maybe one or two panel members respond because of time constraints. So next school, Teachers Middle School, Norwich, Connecticut. Come on down.
Hello, my name is Xavier Hernandez. I'm from Teachers Middle School. I'd like to direct this question to Dwayne Stallings. What can you tell a leader today that will inspire a leader from tomorrow? Can you say that again? What can you say to inspire a leader from today to inspire a leader for tomorrow?
Inspire. Oh, okay. Can I say to inspire you? I think I would go back to having a goal. You know, what do you want out of your life? What do you want your life to be? And I would envision that and work every single day towards making that happen. So close your eyes when you're by yourself one day and think, this is what I want out of my life. This is how I want it to look. And then again, work every single day to make that happen. That's all I would say.
Thank you. Great response.
Thank you.
Next up, Ledger Middle School. Ledger Middle School, come on down.
Hello, I'm Ashlyn, and I have a question for Mr. Nolan. How can students improve their public speaking abilities?
Good question, first of all. I read to myself in the mirror a lot. My wife sees me and she thinks I'm going cuckoo, but I rarely read to myself in the mirror, and I sometimes record myself so that I can hear how I sound after I read. I always read from something. You know how like the president reads from a teleprompter? I do that a lot too. And it's okay to do that because nothing out there says that you can't read from something. So I practice reading and I practice having conversations that are not normally things that I talk about. You know, I go and listen to things, and I like to hear storybooks read out and try and continue to comprehend some of the things that I don't know, just so I can educate myself a little bit better and try and harness some of that skill that I need to practice either pronunciation or reading or something to help me with the dyslexia sometimes.
Great question.
Thank you.
Next up, Clark Lane Middle School. I know you're here, Clark Lane. Come on down.
Hi, I'm Madison. I have a question for anyone. What's something you wish you would have done different?
Listened. That is a big thing. I wish I would have listened more when people tried to tell me how to better myself, because you sometimes regret. And because I don't like to regret now, I always take the opportunity to listen as much as I can and not think I know everything. So listening is a big thing. So I think when we pay more attention to others so that you can get farther on easier, that's something that's really good, I think.
I'll just quickly add to that.
All right, last but not least, Groton.
Well, I was just going to add to that quickly.
Sorry.
The other thing I'd say to that, something that I would have done differently, is I wish I knew earlier that not everyone around you is going to want the life that you want, and you can't let it bother you. Not everyone is going to want what you want, and you cannot let that bother you, and you definitely can't let it drag you down. So again, going back to the answer I had before, figure out what you want to do with your life. It's your life, and you work for that. And it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing or saying around you. Keep that as your North Star, keep that as your goal, and work toward it every day.
All right, Groton Middle School, come on down. Oh, wow, we got three speakers. This is great. Groton in the house. All right, who's up?
Hello, my name is Declan Kasiri, and this question is for Mr. Nolan. How did you get the motivation to push through the hate and negativity on your way to becoming state representative?
Wow.
Say that one more time for me.
How did you get the motivation to push through the hate and negativity on your way to becoming state representative?
Well, first I would always take a deep breath so I can let out some of the stress that some of it causes. And then, I think about the person that's being negative, what they might be going through. Because sometimes you don't understand why a person is acting like they're acting. So I try and have empathy for the person and try and say, okay, to myself I say, well, he must be or she must be going through a really bad day. So I try and respond being nicer. So it takes the power of their anger away so that they can cool down a little bit and see that I'm not someone that's going to go back and forth with them. That's the easiest way that I do that.
Thanks.
Good question.
Hi, my name's Gracie, and I have a question for Mrs. McGee. How do you deal with conflict with friends while still being a leader?
Oh man, I wish my friends were here now. I have friends from like 7th grade, and they're still my friends today. And so they know that I'm going to be honest with them, and they know that sometimes I'm going to tell them things that maybe they don't want to hear. But because we have a really good relationship and because I've known them since 7th grade, they know that I care about them and they know that I love them. But I also do the work, like I show up for them, like I give to them and they give to me. And again, it's that reciprocal friendship and that relationship. So they know that our foundation is really strong. So when I'm going to say, hey, like, you shouldn't have done that, or hey, maybe you should have done that a different way, they know it's because at the end of the day, I only want them to be the best person that they are because I know who they are, So I think you can't be afraid to do that towards people that you love and you really care about.
Thank you.
My name is Aubrey, and my question is, it's for Ms. Tiffany, but what personal attribute helped you the most when you're becoming your leadership journey?
Tiffany? Can you repeat that?
What personal attribute helped you the most when you're beginning your leadership journey?
Personal attribute helped me the most when you began your leadership journey. Wow. I think for me, it's my competitive nature. I don't like to fail, and I do fail. This morning, I was saying this morning, I forgot to send out a link for something. I've been getting emails. I sent out the wrong link. I'm going to have to send an email to 40 people later and apologize that I did the mistake. And I'm going to do it better next time because I don't like to fail, and I don't like people to think that's how I work. I'm going to speak to the females in the room for a minute because when you are a strong female leader and you move up through the ranks, you can be perceived very differently than a male moving up the ranks. Do you guys know anybody know imposter syndrome? Where you wonder, like, I don't fit in with these people, like, am I really qualified for this job? Is it really? Women suffer from imposter syndrome much more than men, and I'll give you a statistic. Men will apply for a job. When there's a job and there's qualifications, men will apply for a job when they have 40% of the qualifications. Women, in general, will wait till they have about 90 because they question themselves. They wonder if they can do it. And I still fall into that. Go for it. I think that's what got me through was my competitive nature, is that athletic side, that competitive side pushed me a little bit further when imposter syndrome could have shut me down. And men in the room, so now I'll speak to the men, lift the women in your life up. If you have a friend who wants to try out for a sport and they're questioning it, tell her to go for it. If you have a family member, you have a sister who wants to apply for a job, go for it. You have nothing to lose. You have all the experience in the world to gain. Be competitive. Be competitive with yourself. I started out running 5Ks. I ended up running a marathon because I don't know how to say no. Because I was always like, oh, I could go a little bit further. Oh, I can go a little bit further. Oh, I can go a little bit further. It was 1% better every day. That's it. I never made leaps and bounds in my journey. It was 1% every day and just pushing a little bit more. So show up.
All right, next part, moving right along. Just a quick comment. First, this whole event has been videoed, correct, Mr. Childs? And streamed. So what I'm going to encourage the schools to do when they go back to their respective schools is have your principal, their staff use this video to rebroadcast it and show it to your classmates. I think this panel did a great job, great questions, and it's a learning experience. So we just can't waste that. So I'll encourage the schools to do that. But the second thing, everybody in this room, I did the math, not very good. There's probably 200 students in there, and of your 8 schools, there's probably close to 2,400 students together. So out of that 2,400, there's 200 that you got chosen to be here today. So don't take that lightly. And so really, so when you go home and your parents say, what'd you do today in school? You can say, I attended a conference and I was amongst 200 out of 2,400 kids selected to be here today. Right? How you got selected doesn't matter. You're here today. So I know if the statements are made, it's not about you, but today it is about you. You need to brag about this and think about this. And someday, by the way, you'll be amazed. You'll be walking down the street in Noank or Stonington or in London, and you probably run into one of these people. And I hope you introduce yourself to them. Say, hey, I saw you at this great event. Great. And that's how you make connections. So it's a great job. I just want to also make a quick comment. 2 years ago, we set up at Hartford and an event around the state. This was started this whole program. I think Kelly Middle School teachers and Benny Dover were there. So those 3 schools were the initial group of students with this program. Now it's grown to 8 schools. By the way, Mr. Childs told me yesterday there was 20 other schools that wanted to be here today. Is that correct, Mr. Childs? 20 more from around the state. But we said we're going to start with Southeastern Connecticut. But next time we have this event, we'll probably have those 20 here. But you're a part of that group that made this grow. So that's great. So good job.
Can I say one part?
And this coach wants to say something? Of course he could say something.
Just a parting remark to everybody, a couple of things that I wrote down, which I think are important. Failure only happens when you give up. So you really don't fail unless you give up. Remember that. Just keep trying. 2, most things that you regret are the things that you don't do. So just do it, like Tiffany says. And a point on leadership is that you're not always going to be right with what you say, but if you show that you care, that person will follow you. So keep that in mind.
All right, so our next closing remarks is, do we have time for the piece?
If the
Do we have-
panelists, each panelist can give just a few parting words, very brief, very short.
20 seconds.
There's a saying that says you win some and you lose some. As a leader, I like to think you win some and you learn some. Life is a journey. You're going to have ups and downs. You're just in middle school now, then you're going to high school. Some of you will go to college, and then you'll go on to have these different careers, and you'll have setbacks. Fight through them. You'll be fine. Again, don't look at things as a loss. Look at those things as a learning opportunity.
Great. Coach?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that everyone in here is really unique, and everyone in here is their own person. Show up as you are, and don't be afraid to be who you are. And don't ever forget that you can really do anything that you want to do if you tell yourself that you can. So believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, continue to grow, continue to change, and just understand that you're enough, and you're just you existing and being here is just half the battle. So just never give up on yourself, never give up on your friends. and just learn to lead with a lot of love, and you'll just change the world with that alone. So that's enough for me.
Great. Miles?
Yeah, I would say be the change that you wish to see in this world. And then also, like, we live in an instant gratification world. I see a lot of people that take shortcuts, and you'll never truly understand the value of a shortcut until you understand the long way how to do it. So while you're young, understand the long way how to do whatever you're doing, and then once you understand how to do it, then take your shortcuts. But if you don't fully understand something, whether that's math, English, you're doing business, take the long route so you learn it, and then you'll value the shortcut way more as you get older.
Great. Anthony?
Just know, being a lead, first of all, you all are leaders because you're here. Right. So you're already on that path. But just know, being a leader can make you nervous. Being a leader could make you worried. But you have to overcome those things because people will depend on you. And people will look at you to help them get through what they're going through. So no matter what it is that comes up before you, always know as a leader you can get over it. It's not the end of the world if you mess up. It's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. Admit your mistakes and just change the way you're doing it. I think that with all of you being here, you're already at that first step. The leadership that you're showing by being here is real important. Thank you.
Great. Tiffany?
I'll emphasize it once again. You show up, speak up, team up. Show up where you can. I used to tell my daughter when she was in middle school and high school to do at least one club, one sport, and have a hobby. You will find people that you connect with. If you're not doing a club now, if you're going into high school next year, think about what you're going to do to expand your day. The school day doesn't end there. Those networks and those relationships that you make are going to help you find what's important to you. They're going to help you find your passion, and they're going to help you to lead. But you don't know what they are if you don't go out there and take risks and join a couple of clubs. And then when you get to college, I thought I was going to play field hockey at college. I got into a really bad car accident the middle of my senior year before college, and I messed up my back. I played intramurals. I had to find other clubs. I had to find other things that connected with me. But find those, and relationships, always. Take advantage of, not take advantage of every single person you meet, take advantage of the opportunities to meet people. Step up, even if you're a quiet person, step up and introduce yourself. Those people, a couple people have said it, don't burn bridges. Because every experience you have in middle school and high school, every club you join, every athletics competition you attend, it's making you who you are, and it's letting people know what you stand for.
Great. Roger?
Find a passion. If you're lucky, you will have one passion in your life, and if you have that, follow it. That's the most important thing, and you won't work a day in your life, right? So follow that, find your passion, and face your fears. It's the only way you can overcome them. For me, it was public speaking in high school, but I forced myself to speak in front of people, keep working at it, and pretty soon it became easy. But if you don't face your fears, you never overcome them. Don't be afraid to do that.
Great. All right, last one of these. Officer Chief, you mentioned about the QR code. I wasn't paying attention that well.
They're going to put a poster here with a QR code. Please snap that QR code. It's going to lead you to a pathway with 100 famous quotes to reference. Remember, everything starts with daily affirmation. Tell yourself, I can, I will, I shall. Thank you all for attending today's opportunity, and we could just have some closing words.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce, I got to introduce the guy. This is Mr. Van Bikini, the principal of the, yeah, give him a shout out, yeah. He had a big role in for making this happen, letting Paul and Mr. Childs free time to get this thing organized, so we just want to thank him. Also, it's a public announcement. Benny Dover, the last couple of years, just got an award from the state of Connecticut for school climate. Is that correct? So that probably in the state of Connecticut. You may talk about test scores in sports, but the climate thing is one of the biggest awards you can get in the state of Connecticut. So that's to the students of the school and the administration, but climate award, so congratulations. So Mr. Van Bikini, the principal's going to do the closing remarks, and and I think we're going to call it a game. But I tell you what, just on a personal thing, this panel was great. Great, great, great. Give him a real one. All right, Mr. Mamikidi.
All right, before I get started, I have to apologize in advance. I've been a little under the weather this week, and just yesterday I lost my voice. But there was about a 0% chance that I was going to miss today. As leaders, sometimes you have to dig deep and find a way without making any excuses. So here we go. It is an incredible honor and privilege of mine to close today's conference. This event would have been possible without the hard work and dedication of so many people and groups. People have spent countless hours preparing for today, paying close attention to every single little detail to make sure today ran smoothly. First and foremost, special thank you to the Gard Art Center for providing us with this absolutely beautiful venue. Thank you. Thank you to the New London Police Department, the Rotary Club of New London, the NAACP, and Waterford Rise for your extreme generosity. Without your financial contributions, today would not have been possible. Thank you to Muddy Waters and Coca-Cola for the drink donations enjoyed by everyone this morning. Thank you to Tyree Blackman for being the incredibly talented photographer and videographer that has done an amazing job capturing this event. Thank you to Dr. Jennifer Hills-Papetti, Chief Wright, State Representative Nolan, and Lou Allen for playing such a large part in today's conference. To our panelists, Roger Bidwell, Tiffany Caouette, Miles Daniels, Ashley McGee, Dwayne Stallings, and a fill-in, Representative Nolan, a very special thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. I think it's safe to say that your stories and your journey have inspired everyone in attendance, not just our students. Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Childs, Mr. Winston. Honestly, today would not have been possible without their passion, their perseverance, determination, and drive. They had the ambition to pull this off in spectacular fashion, and they surpassed all expectations. I thank them profoundly for offering this opportunity for our region's middle school students. Please, one more time, a huge round of applause. You know, life works in mysterious ways. You never know where your life will take you or what paths you will cross. Here today, and I know you heard a couple times, involved in this conference, when I was a student at New London High School, my former principal, Mr. Allen. When I was a student at New London High School, Chief Wright was just Officer Wright and was our resource officer. When I was a teacher at New London High School, State Representative Nolan was Officer Nolan, and he was our resource teacher. Mr. Winston was my former student when I was a teacher at New London High School. My family grew up with the Stallings family. I could go on and on with the connections here today. The point is you never really know where you're going to end up. And hear me when I say this. I never, ever in a million years would have thought that at your age, I would one day become the principal of my former middle school. It's really an honor. It was an impossible thought that came a reality through strong work ethic, doing the right thing even when it's hard, and treating everyone around you with respect. When I was your age, similar to Mr. Bidwell, one of my biggest fears was public speaking. I had incredible anxiety at even just the thought of participating in class. When I was a student at UConn, one of my professors told us on the very first day of class that the end of semester project was going to be a presentation. As soon as that class was over, I walked my behind over to the registrar's office and I withdrew from that class. I couldn't even stand the thought of presenting hanging over me for the entire semester. Now, as a principal, what do I do every day? I present, right, to students, to colleagues, and even some strangers. Sometimes hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people. What I learned is, as a leader, we have to embrace our fears. We have to embrace our anxieties, and the more we tackle it head on, the easier it becomes over time. So the question I have for you all now is, now what? Now what? What are you going to do after today's conference? I'm sure it was nice to get out of class for a few hours, miss some classes, maybe even miss a test. I'm sure that's great. But I would like to echo what Dr. Hills-Papetti opened with. Do not wait to be a leader. It starts now. I challenge each and every student in attendance today to go back to your schools, to go back to your community, and take action. Our leaders at Benny Dover Jackson will be hard at work making a difference in our school community. They don't know it yet, but we will be hosting a student-led leadership conference later in the spring, where we're going to invite representatives from each school here today to participate. If you look around the world today, we need leaders like you. I'm excited to see where your journey takes you, and I have no doubt that you all will have a positive impact on our world. I will leave you with this. It's always the right time to do the right thing, and that will help build your character as a leader. I thank you all for being here today. Thank you. Please remain seated because we're going to call you out by your buses, okay?
What we're going to do to start off, okay. In order to leave a little orderly, we're going to start off with Waterford, New London Arts Pathway, and